Hello and welcome to another episode of Sunday Surefire Picks. This is the Thursday night Week 10 edition. I'm your host, the Commish. I'm going to be running down this Thursday night football matchup, letting you know what some of the easy money picks on this slate are, letting you know what some fun conservative parlays are, and then one more aggressive parlay. And then for those that are involved in DraftKings captains lineup contests each and every week, I'm going to be going over a few players that the Sunday Surefire team likes to put in your captain slot this week. So there's a lot to get to. No dilly-dallying going on. Quick rundown on this Thursday's matchup. We have the 4-5 Cincinnati Bengals taking their show on the road to Baltimore to play the 6-3 Ravens. So we have an NFC North matchup. The Ravens are currently 6-point favorites, and the over/under is sitting at 53.5 points. Quick thoughts on the game script here. When we think AFC North football, we always think gritty football, hard-nosed, two tough teams going at each other. But in this particular rivalry recently, in the last three games, these two teams have gone over 50 points in each of those contests here. So it's been anything but grinded out football or anything like that. And as for 2024, both these teams are having trouble stopping the pass at different points in the season. The Bengals are right around league average at the moment, giving up 212 passing yards per game, which is good for 17th in the NFL. While Baltimore has been absolutely demolished through the air so far this year, giving up 280 yards to opposing quarterbacks. Dead last in the NFL. 32 out of 32 teams, not good. Maybe something that we attack a little bit later. We'll see. Defending the run has actually kind of gone the opposite for the Ravens, as they're number one in the league with just 75 rushing yards allowed per contest. The Bengals, on the other hand, are in the middle of the pack, giving up about 130 yards per game on the ground. Good for 18th, so middle of the pack as well. But it's what both teams give up to the tight end position in particular that really has me intrigued in this game, as the Ravens and Bengals are both in the bottom seven in the league in yards allowed to the two opposing tight ends, which is actually a great segue into this week's easy money segment here. Money picks in this segment typically range between minus 140 and plus 100 odds. And my first call here is tight end Mike Gesicki over 50 receiving yards, which has a line of minus 130 from an odds perspective. Mentioned both teams struggling against tight ends, but Baltimore in particular gives up the third most yards to the two opposing tight ends. And just this week, the Bengals actually placed fellow tight end rookie Eric All on season-ending injured reserve with a torn ACL. And star wide receiver T. Higgins is doubtful to play in this matchup, meaning that Gesicki's going to get bumped up in the pecking order. That's a role we saw him in just 1 week ago when he absolutely crushed, had one of the best games of his entire career. Definitely his best game on the season. Came out of that game with 5 catches for 100 yards and 2 scores. So I'm betting for him to stay hot in that elevated role in a game with a high over-under in Week 10. My next call here is an over of 53.5 for the game, which is minus 108 odds. I mentioned that the rivalry in their last handful of matchups has exceeded 50 points, so leaning into that. Both defenses had their struggles defending the pass at different times, so I don't see much of an improvement coming in a big way for either team on a Thursday night game here with a short week. So let's have some fun here. Let's go with an over 53.5 at, again, minus 108 odds. Grip it and rip it. And with the Baltimore defense struggling to stop the pass, naturally I'm going to go to the opposing quarterback. Let's go to Joe Burrow here. He's off to a hot start in his own right. He ranks second in TD passes and third in completion percentage among quarterbacks who have had at least 130 snaps or 130 pass attempts so far in 2024. The bet here is this one is Joe Burrow to go over 275 passing yards, which gives you pretty close to even odds. Actually, it's minus 105 at the moment. And lastly, one more here in our easy money segment. This one's it's always fun to toss a special teams prop in there. I've been going with some kicker props lately. It's worked out for the most part. So I'm going to stick to that theme. I'm going to go Justin Tucker over 1.5 field goals made for minus 110 odds. Not a lot of heavy analysis on this one, really. Just kind of a gut feel, as Tucker really has been struggling by his standards so far in 2024, but he's due for some positive regression to the mean, which is a fancy way of saying that he's too good to be held down for too long. And I'm looking for water to kind of reach its level in this game. In a contest with another example of a high over under, there's going to be scoring chances aplenty for both sides. I think Tucker can bang home 2 field goals for you this week. Now let's go to our parlays here. I got 2 parlays here for you that are fun to kind of mash some different picks together, juice up those odds, and really go for it. First one on the more conservative end. These ones typically tend to be between plus 250, plus 500 or so. This one's actually more on the aggressive side here, which is always kind of fun to chase here. What this one is an anytime touchdown for Derrick Henry, an anytime touchdown for Jamar Chase, the Ravens to cover, an alternate spread of -2.5, and the over of 53.5 to hit. Mash all that up there, you get plus 420 odds. So I like that one here. And Derrick Henry is -280 or so to score a touchdown. And Jamar Chase is always a threat to take one to the house, a guy who can drop double-digit touchdowns every year. So always a good bet there. So that's a good one, plus 40 odds. But on the more aggressive side, for those who really want to grip it and rip it, these ones here are over plus 500. This one certainly is. But this one, believe it or not, it's only a two-legger. Typically, these aggressive parlays, you come in, you see like 4, 5, 6 legs, but I'm just going with 2 legs here. Pretty straightforward as well. Just going for both of Mike Gesicki and Mark Andrews to both find the end zone on anytime touchdowns. That one comes out to plus 750. So a dueling tight ends parlay can cash in pretty big, plus 750. I made the case for Gesicki earlier, but with Isaiah Likely ruled out on the Ravens side of things, it just means more run for Andrews as a team's top tight end in a matchup where the opponent struggles against the position. So give me Andrews and Gesicki locked in for a touchdown for each of them for plus 750 odds. And look, I promise I don't always bet on overs on these things, guys. I mean, definitely not every show am I saying over, but I just think this game has points that are going to be flying up on that scoreboard in bunches down in the Charm City this Thursday night. So let's have some fun. Let's bet some overs here, and let's also dive into some quick advice for some Thursday night DraftKings lineups here. I referenced the DraftKings lineups earlier. Essentially, what these are just contests where they use a 6-player lineup with your traditional salary cap function that DraftKings is famous for. But you do have to designate one player to be your captain each and every contest. And in this one here, the captain costs 1.5 times their normal salary to get them into your captain's role, but you get a 1.5 multiplier for the points that they score. So they score 1.5 times the amount they normally would. Now, I've done some funky things with captain's lineups in the past. I've gone with kickers here and there. I've gone some quarterbacks as well. But for this week, I'm just gonna kind of keep it simple to what I was saying earlier. Mike Gesicki, like he's just gonna be my guy this week. I'm gonna lean into him in my captain slot. He costs $9,900 to get him into that position, and I just really made the case for him to have a productive day. So I won't rehash all those points. What I like about him here at this price point is that he comes in just under $10,000, which is important because it does allow you to get other high-profile pieces of the game into your lineup. And for me, that was both starting quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, as well as Jamar Chase and Mark Andrews are all fitting comfortably into my lineup if you go a little bit cheaper in the form of Mike Gesicki. Now, my other co-host, one of my regular co-hosts, my guy Aaron Downtown Brown, also wanted to give his thoughts on this. He's actually going to go with Deontay Johnson in his captain's lineup. The newcomer, newly traded over from the Carolina Panthers, is coming into Aaron Downtown Brown's lineup at a cost of just $7,200. And for those of you familiar with Aaron's work, he's a big risk taker in these contests, which is great, especially in big tournament plays where the chalky lineups rarely ever win you a ton of money in those. But of course, the benefit of going cheaper as well, like I just said, is you can get a lot more of those expensive players into your lineup if you choose to go that route. And that's what he's doing here. He's gripping and ripping it. $7,200 for Deontay Johnson to pay off in your Thursday night lineup this week on DraftKings. And that's what we have for you, folks. Quick hitting episode here. If you like what you heard, please hit that subscribe button. And until next time, peace.